guys, it's DC and welcome to the Soap Sanctuary where all soap lovers are welcome. A bit of an unorthodox video today. Everybody's touching on the subject, so I just figured why not just touch on it too. A little bit of a controversial video for me. I don't really like to talk on these type of things, but why not? Honestly, I wanted to do a GH review this weekend. I was hoping I could just touch on it then, but I just haven't had the time to do it. I've just been very busy. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. Hope everyone's Thanksgiving has gone well. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I just hope your time this weekend was also well as well. Okay, so talking about Steve Burton, guys, I have seen a lot of comments, stuff. I've also been on Twitter. Ooh, Twitter is toxic, capital letters. I wanted to give a little bit of my take and a little bit of my assessment of the situation. Obviously, for some of you guys who don't know, Steve Burton was let go from ABC Disney as a result of not complying with the vaccine mandate. And like Brock TV said, I'm sure Steve Burton will land on his feet. I'm sure he will too. I've seen so many different responses on Soap Twitter, and I'm just like, dang, man, y'all really coming for this man's whole life just because he didn't want to do the vaccine. But this is what I will say. And I want to first start off with, I'm very sensitive to the fact that some people might have lost loved ones during COVID-19. So I know that brings an extra sensitivity as to where they're at with the vaccine and, the mandates and stuff like that, to what's going on in the world. What I will say is this in regards to that. With Steve Burton, and he seemed like he was honestly truly heartbroken, like having to leave GH. Let me just start with this. I understand both sides of the spectrum. I understand where ABC and Disney is coming from because of the simple fact that soaps are not really a job that can be done remotely, at least that I know of. So, and I know that soaps are very expensive to produce. They go on 5 days a week. The soaps, you just see the characters and the storylines, but you don't understand there's writers, there's an editing staff, there's a makeup, costume design, set design, in addition to the actors, and SAG-AFTRA and all this other stuff that goes into a show, which makes it very expensive to produce. That's why All My Children Will Like to Live got canceled for talk shows, because it's like half the consumption and half the budget they would need to produce on a daily basis. So I understand they have to let him go, and also Ingo, who plays Jax, they had to let those two go because they need the show to go on. And I understand even during COVID, it was probably expensive for them to have that loss in revenue. I get that part. I also understand where Steve Burton is coming from, where, and that's just how it is. If the job says, hey, this is what it is, if you can't do it, you can't do it. He's been on a show for almost, I want to say probably close to 30 years at this point, maybe, or 20 to 30 years, something around that range. And so I'm sure in some way that show probably feels like a family or a family-esque type of feel to him. I understand where he's coming from because he doesn't want to just take a vaccine for the sake of the job, but also understand that, hey, if you don't take it, hey, you got to bounce. I understand that part in that too. What I will say is this in regards to the vaccine mandate. I've been seeing this a lot, especially on Soap Twitter, where I feel like people who are pro-vaccine or taking the vaccine, it almost seems like they feel like they're better than people who aren't, and then people who are, I guess what you call anti-vaxxers or not vaccinated, feel like they're better than people who have taken the vaccine, which I feel like neither are better than the other, honestly. I feel like I understand where Steve Burton is coming from, because you just don't want to take something that you're not sure of how you feel about it. And who's to say what kind of stuff he had personally going on in his life as to why he might feel that way about the vaccine. Me personally, I'm not vaccinated, so I can kind of a little bit understand where Steve Burton's coming from, but I also get the nature of the business when it comes to soaps. I do plan on getting vaccines sometime soon, but it's on the basis of the fact that I want to travel. There's no other reason behind that. And I mentioned before in another video, I work remotely, so I don't really have public interaction with people, and I'm pretty much around the same people all the time, and they're usually in controlled environments, so I don't feel that need to get the vaccine. But I understand why somebody else may feel that way. Maybe they have family members, stuff like that happen to them. I haven't, so it's a bit of a different thing for me. And I've been in Steve Burton's situation, his predicament before, where I've been asked that even by, place where I work, where, they say, listen, if we're no longer going to do remote and we're bringing everyone back to the office, are you vaccinated? Do you plan to get vaccinated? My answers to both questions were no and no. I do plan to get vaccinated on the basis of travel, but I would never, me personally, would want to get vaccinated just for the sake of keeping my job, but I also understand there are consequences that come with that, and I also understand where the job is coming from too, to protect everybody. Now, with that being said, I'm not against wearing a mask. Even though I live in a state where the governor is not really too big on people wearing masks, especially children in schools. I don't know why. I don't necessarily think it's him. I just think people got their foot on this man's neck. But I'm not against wearing a mask to socially distance. I feel that's the least I can do. Me personally, I know there was a vaccine I took years ago, a flu vaccine I'd taken years ago, and it made me very, very sick. And ever since then, I have some other experiences. I wasn't really prone to vaccines. I'm a very holistic type of guy. And I'm a very holistic type of guy when it comes to stuff like that. But I also understand that modern medicine has its place too at the same time. Don't get me wrong. Because if I get shot, I'm not gonna go drink herbal teas or anything. You know, I'm gonna go to a hospital. Let's just put it like that. I'm going to a hospital if I get shot, okay? I'm going to a hospital to get treated. But I understand where people are coming from with that. Maybe whatever reasons they have or why they don't want to take it. When it comes to this whole COVID thing, I won't touch too much on that. I really want to make it about Steve Burton, but I live in a state where, as you can see which state I live in Florida. We have hurricane season here all the time, and so I'm used to the shenanigans of the news. You go to channel 1, they'll say it's category 5. You go to channel 2, they'll say it's category 3. You'll go to channel 5, it'll say, oh, it's a tropical storm. Channel 10 will say, oh my God, the hurricane is coming right here, right now. And after a while, I just got over it through the years. I'm like, all right. So when COVID came and there's all stuff in the news, I'm like, I'm out. Y'all not gonna get me. Because I do feel like a lot of times news, it has this way of inciting panic and negativity a lot. So I try to stay away from that. But in some way, I get it. Newscasters and journalists, they have to eat too. I get it. Weathermen too, for the sake of Florida. They all gotta eat. But I feel like I've stayed away from stuff like that. And my thing is, I do feel like whether you're pro-vaxxer or anti-vaxxer or whatever it is, I feel like people can respect other people's opinions, because you may not know why people may not want to get vaccinated. And for the people who don't want to get vaccinated, you have to also understand why some people might feel very passionately about this. I saw Carolyn Hennessy, who plays, what was that last name, right? Hennessy? Is it Hennessy? Hennessy. Who plays Diane. She said on Twitter, all politics aside, Steve Burton was a great man, blah, blah, blah. Then Nancy Lee Grahn, who plays Alexis, commented and said, oh no, it's not about politics, it's about loss. And I was like, sis, really? Like, come on, man. Like, they still lost a co-star, whether he left or let go or whatever you think the status was of it. They still lost somebody, in terms of him, like, not being on the show anymore. And I'm not really a big fan of the Jason character, but I love Steve Burton as an actor. That's how good he is as an actor. You guys know I'm not really a fan of the Triumphant Trio, which is Sonny, Carly, and Jason, but they're such great actors. That's how I don't like their characters, And my whole thing is, like, I've seen people like have these kind of responses, that very adverse responses to all this, and I just feel like it's okay to respect someone's right. Like, they just don't want to do that. But understand the fact that if he does that, he has to leave. I understand ABC's decision. I don't think necessarily they should not have let him go. I get the show must go on. It's a business. When you don't own the business, you don't got to say it. That's how it works in life. And even I shares my own situation with my own personal life, where I'm kind of in that boat too, but I'm okay with that because, also I kind of have the type of person I am. I have developed the mentality that a job is not my source. And I also have other sources of income on top of that. So maybe that's also part of it why I'm like, well, if you got to let me go, deuces. But to me, looking at it, I just feel like people have to be very respectful of how other people feel. I really do feel that way. Anyway, I become vaccinated, I'm not going to start, or I plan to do that. I'm not going to start looking down on people who aren't. I do feel like you should still follow social distancing protocols, so wear your mask and social distance in public if you aren't, and that's what I do, which I think is the least I could do, right? Because I understand that. I understand this is a real thing. I get that part of it. I just think that people have to really respect other people's opinions and beliefs. And if Steve Burton, for whatever reason, doesn't want to do that, I can understand that, honestly. I'm going to be real honest here. I remember there was a time when I was in high school where, this girl came to me. She said, listen, we're having this meeting for people who are struggling with their sexuality. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so Why am I being invited to this meeting? And she's like, it's for people who are struggling with their sexuality. And I was like, but I'm not struggling with my sexuality. Have I told you I was or something like that? Or did you hear that from somebody? And she's like, no, but I just figured because, you are, you would want to go. She couldn't say it out loud. Oh, gay, she couldn't say the word out loud. And I was just like, listen, I said, so-and-so, I said to her, I appreciate what you're trying to do because I know it's coming from a place of good intentions. But I said, listen, in order for me to go to something like this, I would first have to feel that I'm in a struggle with my sexuality, which I'm not. I'm okay with being gay. And also the fact that I would have to perceive there's something wrong with it to want to change it, which I'm not. So therefore, this is kind of lost on me a little bit. If you feel there's something you need to change about your own sexuality or you perceive something wrong with yours, I understand that, but that has nothing to do with me. That's not my journey, If you feel you have to change it to align with God or your path with Him, okay. And I support you on that, meaning that I won't interfere, I won't look down on you, I won't think anything negative of you, but that's your journey. That has nothing to do with me as an individual for me, my sake. But I get it. You're doing it with the thought process in mind that this is something I think would help him. But I don't perceive nothing wrong with it in the first place. So I think I didn't want to say barking up the wrong tree, but this is not for me. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't look down on her for doing that. Now, is that for me? Do I think it's a little crazy if you do something like that? Yeah, a little bit for me, my sake. But if that's you, what you feel you need to do, you do that. I don't feel I need to do that to align or get right with God. But if you feel you have to do that, you do that. And that's how far sometimes, and I'm saying, using that as an example, I know it's crazy I just threw that out there, right? But I'm using that example to show you sometimes how far it goes for me where, I can respect other people's beliefs if it has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Now, people like that, I probably am not going to be close friends with you. We'll be good acquaintances, but I probably wouldn't be close friends with you, right? But I say that in the sense of I can really respect how other people's beliefs and their opinions. And I think in a way we should be able to do that. Like on my channel, you guys will hear me talk about how I love Sunny Nina. You guys can go ahead and go off in the comments and say, DC, you're crazy for loving Sunny Nina. We're Soaps fans, you know what I'm saying? So we can talk crap, just like sports fans can talk crap amongst each other. But it's nothing personal or volatile to each other. If you say I'm crazy, you're crazy for loving Sunny Nina. Nina's like this, why would you like those two together? But as Soap fans, you guys can put that in the comments. I'm cool with that. We're just talking soaps. We're just talking crap. Soaps, like as Soap fans do. You guys know I'm a Buccaneers fan. I just happen to be wearing the shirt. I believe in them when nobody else did. They've come a long way. But I say that in the sense of, as people, we should be able to respect that. Nancy Lee Grant, the woman who plays Alexis, I didn't know why she had to do that. I get that she's on this, social justice thing. I get it. I honestly get it. I won't be tweeting this video because I don't want the type of energy that's going to come with Twitter, because I don't have social media beside that Twitter to promote this channel. And so Twitter can seem very toxic for some reason. But I say that as me being an unvaccinated person. I know I'm so taboo. To say that, and someone who plans to get vaccinated possibly soon, that I understand Steve Burton's decision. I get it. I honestly really get it. And I also get the consequence that came with it. I think he was a lot more graceful and tactful about it than Ingo was. It was just Ingo was just Ingo's all over the place with it. But I can really respect other people's beliefs. And that's the kind of person I am. Because like I said, and for me, I wasn't even sure if I should do this video, but YouTube doesn't really pay my bills. So I feel like I can speak a little freely on the subject, but if someone comes in the comments and says, DC Sanctuary, you're wrong, we should do this, I'm okay. I'm not going to delete your comment. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? We can talk. We can have a dialogue. You can disagree with people and have a dialogue. And like I said, I'm sensitive to the fact that some people might have loved ones die from COVID, so you might feel very differently. I at least do wear my mask out in public and socially distance. That's the least much I can do. That part I think everybody on some level can do, my personal opinion. Even though in my state, for some reason, people were really mad about wearing masks. I'm like, yo, man, what's up? You know what I'm saying? And, but in terms of the shot, I think people should have a right to their own choice. I've seen a lot of people on Soap Twitter saying, everybody should get it if they're eligible. I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? Why? What if they don't want to do that? I think they should have a right to not want to do that. I stopped taking vaccines years ago. And that's just how I felt about it. After I had my own experience with it too. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you may not know other things behind the scenes to why people might feel a certain way about it. So you may say that research shows it's 100% safe, but we're living in a time where there's social injustice, all this unrest, and certain groups of color who may not even trust the government or information they put out there. And I hope me just saying that alone doesn't get this video deleted or my channel deleted. But, you know, I'm just saying this to you guys, to give you guys a different type of perspective that comes to these kind of things. And just to be aware, you know what I'm saying? Just to be aware. It's, before you go off on people like that, understand first why are they thinking this way before you do. And then after that, I feel you don't like it, okay, go ahead and do what you gotta do, what you feel you gotta do. But understand that perspective first. And see, I'm not a vaccinated person, but see, nobody knew that I took a vaccine years ago and I got this really crazy response and I was super sick as a result of it. And that's why I don't want to take them no more. But see, to the average bear, it's like, he's like, vaccine, why do I get vaccinated? And do I want to get, and I guess I wanted to wait to see how things played out. That's how I do with every video. I just wait to see how it plays out. It's a real life soap opera if you look close enough. But that's my whole thing with Steve Burton. I really feel like the man was heartbroken. I really do feel like the man was heartbroken. I really do. And I hope one day there comes a time where he can be able to come back. And a lot of people say, well, if everyone else is vaccinated, why can't he come or just be tested for COVID regular? Listen, it's just the nature of the business. They can't afford to shut down the service. That's just the reality. They can't afford it. I know this was a Disney and ABC decision. So for Disney and ABC, they probably feel like for all their shows, cumulatively, they can't afford shutdowns. They can't afford. I think it's this. That's part of the decision making. I'm just being real with you. It's because they can't shut down production. You know what I'm saying? They can't shut down production. I don't think it had nothing to do with, public safety on their part. I think it's just they don't want to lose this. But I say this to provide you guys a different perspective. And I hope that this helps. I hope this helps with a different type of conversation. But that's kind of where I stand on things nowadays. I can respect other people's opinions, even as, like, it's not mine. Now, if the opinion is too, how do I put this, adversive for me, maybe when we won't be chumming it up. As I gave you guys with the LGBT example earlier in this video. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to, I think you can respect other people's decisions. First, find out why it is that the public feels this way. You know, I saw a video a while ago where it says the FBI was cracking down on people making fake vaccine cards. And, you know, as I watched that video, I had to ask myself a question like, why would people go to such great lengths to make a fake vaccine card if there's a vaccine out there that you can take it for free? Why go so hard on that? That's the honest question to be asking yourself. Why is that? So there's obviously some public distrust. Some distrust is going on with the public with regards to this vaccine. I don't know necessarily the majority of reasons to why that exists, but that's a question maybe you guys should be asking yourself. And so if you are a pro-vaxxer, maybe you go say, so how can we make people feel more comfortable with this? You know what I'm saying? If you're so adamant that people need to get it, Mike Tyson, you know? So hey guys, I'm gonna sign off on this video. I didn't mean for this video to be 20 minutes long, but I think it was better than have it in a soap review video, something separate. I may lose my subscribers. I only got like, what, I think 10 or 15 right now, because I had to reboot my channel, do a new channel over again. I hope this gives you guys some kind of perspective, I think. I like to look at things outside of the box, the person, because I don't feel like life is black and white. I'm just that type of person. I think there's a lot of gray areas. And there's a lot of gray areas of life, and that comes in, those things should come into question, and we should be able to identify those. But anyways, that's my video, and this has been So Sanctuary. I'll see you guys in the next one.